Last time we spoke about the importance of concepts, and today we're looking at another song which also builds a world with lyrics, sounds and performance.
aespa's Illusion was a pre-release single for their second mini-album Girls. It is in D minor with a BPM of 90 and was composed by PK, Patricia Bettani, Steve Octave, and the lyrics were written by Lee Thor.
As is typical for aespa, the song has relation to the Kwangia lore, namely, Illusion is from the point of view of the Black Mamba, which preys and baits the girls. The lyrics are menacing, and the soundscape, which we're about to dive in, fully supports and enhances this image.
Illusion starts with a distorted 808 hit. This might seem unimpressive at first glance, but is actually quite smart. The distortion being this heavy is a rather unusual sound, and for many listeners would be very attention-catching. In a world where seconds can make the difference between skipping and listening to a song, this can be very impactful. The increasing siren sound also adds to this, as we would automatically associate such a sound with the need to pay attention.
Right after this initial hit, we're introduced to the concept of the song. A curious combination of sounds, it further ensures the listener's attention will be grabbed. We're likely to listen up to the chorus of the song, at least, even just to figure out what the song is about. From a songwriting perspective, this is very important, as the chorus is often the part where you can truly sell the song to the listener.
The verses are rather sparse too, with the same distorted white 808 and also a clean, much less distorted 808 underneath. You can hear the latter occasionally doing slides. The synth plays the same note over and over, but at a higher pitch, creating an almost hypnotic effect for a listener. At the same time, the space between the synth and the bass gives a lot of space for the vocal to be the focal point. In the first half of the verse, the only drums we have is the kick, which blends quite well with the distorted stabs. In the second half, we have a snare, which hits at the same time as the synth, and of course hi-hats, both of which drive the energy forward.
The verse top line is based around rap, however, the delivery is rather interesting. The girls' vocal tones are very light, yet not exactly sweet. The vocals are also compressed and saturated, which in lay terms means they sound very close to our ears. These combined lead to a rather sinister sound, which perfectly captures the concept.
The pre-chorus, as it is standard in K-pop, provides contrast. From a distorted 808 and short snappy synth notes, we now have a mellow Reese bass and pads. Both of these sounds fill a lot of the frequency spectrum and are playing long, held notes, making us feel like the instrumental is engulfing us. The top line is melodic now, though the delivery is still on the light side. Unlike the verse, the vocals here have more reverb and delay, making them feel a bit more far away from us and also a bit more airy. While this section feels much more melodic, it still holds a certain creepiness because of the context around it, almost like we as listeners can't quite trust this change. The chorus is pretty similar to the verses, with added elements of course, and an even catchier top line. What's interesting here though is the difference between each chorus. The first time around we have an incredibly minimalistic chorus. The vocals are soft and the instrumentation is bass and kick-its, and that's basically it. Halfway through, the rest of the drums kick in and we can really feel the difference as they instantly lift up the energy. While the first half of the chorus was built on tension and anticipation, the drums are now making us groove. The top line stays the same and gets repeated twice, and the second time around the vocal delivery is a bit stronger.
The second chorus is similar to the second half of the first chorus, with the instrumental having drums from the get-go and the vocals being fairly strong. Halfway through, however, they serve as another surprise. While the top line is generally the same, we have two members harmonizing, with Ning Ning singing a new melody while Karina sing raps in an already familiar way.
They do the same thing in the last chorus. However, we also have new ad-libs, which, as we mentioned, is pretty typical, but also different lyrics from the previous two times. You could say that no two choruses in the song are the same, which keeps things extra interesting. At the same time, however, we are almost hypnotically getting the hook "Follow me, come and get illusion" with its staccato-ish rhythm drilled in our heads, perfectly striking the balance between enough variation and enough repetition.
In terms of processing, the vocals here are pretty similar to the verse, with a lot of compression. They use another very interesting effect here, a vocoder.
Hello, I am a vocoder.
This is essentially a synth which emulates a human voice. It can play full chords and thus acts as an artificial harmony. This effect is perfect for the song. It creates the illusion of a real human singing with a somewhat robotic quality at the same time. This adds to the creepy vibe of the entire song.
Follow me, come and get illusion. 한 입에 삼켜 널 delicious. 아찔한 미끼로 hook up. 관심을 먹고 고르면.
The post-chorus is rather interesting too. We have a call and response structure, with the call being the hypnotic "will oh the wisp" line, while the response is similar to what we have already heard in the chorus. The call is filtered quite a lot here, which sets up contrast with the response clean vocals. There's also a good balance between introducing something new in the call and having something already familiar in the response.
Speaking of harmonizing, aespa do something else unexpected here. Now, it would be hard to find a K-pop song which contains no background vocals. What is typically done, however, is having one vocal in the middle, usually called the lead, which is louder and clearer than the rest of the vocals, called the background vocals. The background vocals could contain harmonization of the lead, airy ad-libs, or sometimes even fun spoken words. Occasionally in K-pop in general, we would have two members taking over the lead vocals and harmonizing. It happens just for a line, a special moment in a song which acts almost as an ear candy.
In the first part of the second verse of Illusion, however, we hear two voices. It's a rap verse, so we can't exactly call it harmonizing, but the two members have distinct vocal colors and delivery. In the B part of the verse, we hear all of the members. Not an entirely new approach for SM, though usually this is kept for the choruses. In the second pre-chorus, we also hear Winter and Ning Ning harmonize.
The bridge is somewhat similar to the pre-chorus, with the re's bass and the pads creating contrast. We hear something familiar here. The familiar lyrics are now used in a different context and sung with a melody. The vocals are processed in a similar way, with the reverb and delay effects and the airy quality of the girl's delivery.
Let's summarize so far. We have verses which are very bass heavy with a rap top line and compressed and dry vocals. We have a contrasting pre-chorus with pads and a re's bass with a melodic top line and much more spacious vocal processing. The chorus is similar to the verse with additional layers and sounds. The top line contains both rapping and singing, and while the vocals are on the drier side, they're enhanced with a vocoder.
So far so good, but there is a whole side of music making we haven't touched on yet. You guessed it, the harmony. Harmony encapsulates chords as well as the melodies we build on top of these chords. Let's look at how this is done in Illusion.
As we mentioned earlier, Illusion is in D minor. The verse is pretty grounded, with the bass hitting mainly the root note, apart from the occasional 808 slides.
Look at you, 빨라지는 걸음걸이. Look at me, 호기심을 자극하지. Look at them, 알아챌 수 없는 거리.
The pre-chorus has more movement, with the chords being as follows, which in the key would translate to this.
Let's look at how chords work real quick, so we can understand why the chosen chords here work. The chords in our scale can be split into 3 groups. We have tonic chords, which feel like home and will usually sound pretty resolved. We have dominant chords, which serve as a lead into the tonic chord. And finally, subdominant chords can go in multiple directions, but often lead us into the dominant chord. Moving between chords of the same group would feel smoother than moving between chords from different groups, since they share more notes. And being on the root chord would feel the most resolved. But that's enough for now. Back to Illusion.
The pre-chorus starts with a major 6th chord, which is a tonic chord. This would feel fairly grounded, yet still somewhat different from the verse, which revolved around the root. This is then followed by the major 7th chord, which in turn smoothly flows into the minor 5th chord. Both of these chords share 2 notes, hence the smooth transition, and the dominant chords. This is then followed by a major 5th chord. While this chord is out of the scale, it shares many notes with the chord before, which makes the transition smooth once again. The dominant chords here strongly pull us towards the root, which is perfect for building tension right before the drop.
몽롱한 기분이 좋은 tonight. 색다른 세계로 이끄는 light.
An interesting detail here is the fact that we are avoiding the root and saving it for the chorus to make it even more satisfying. This further explains why it's hard for us as listeners to trust the pre-chorus. Avoiding the root essentially tells us that this is just the calm before the storm.
Earlier we mentioned the chorus is pretty similar in arrangement to the verse, but with more instrumentation and vocals added. There's another element which sets the chorus apart from the verses, and this indeed lies in the harmony. Unlike the verse, which was based around the root, here we have more movement.
As expected, after the dominant chord at the end of the pre-chorus, we started the chorus with the root chord. The rest of the progression is similar in function, with the majority of harmony revolving around tonic chords, except for that last one, which is the dominant, once again setting us up for a transition.
Follow me, come and get illusion. 몸집을 불려가 delicious. 점점 더 커지는 fire. 관심을 먹고 growing up.
The bridge, while in instrumentation similar to the pre-chorus, has the same chords as the chorus. This makes the sections seamlessly flow into each other while also being different enough to keep our interest.
겁내지 말고 이리 와. Yummy, yummy, yummy. You tell me.
What do you think is the most interesting element in aespa's Illusion? And what other songs would you like us to break down in the future? Let us know in the comments down below. We would also love if you subscribe and ring the bell if you like our content, as it helps us a lot with growing this channel as well as this community.